I'm not telling somebody to commit violence, I am not inciting them to violence. Free speech is under assault because of a three-step argument made by the advocates and justifiers of violence. Left versus right matters a hell of a lot less than right versus wrong.
You know, I've always personally adhered to a very strict rule, and that is I keep my politics to myself. I don't think I should use this platform to influence anybody's politics, so I don't ever talk about politics. My next guest, not so much. He is a controversial newsmaker who says we live in the best world that has ever existed, and yet we are more divided than ever before.
Free speech is under assault because of a three-step argument made by the advocates and justifiers of violence. The United States is a global engine of growth, not just because of free markets, but because of the values embedded in free markets. The only way to ensure that political correctness continues to lose is if we tell the truth. I have a very strong standard with regard to incitement. If I'm not telling somebody to commit violence, I am not inciting them to violence. If we don't have social fabric, if we don't have community, if we don't know what America is about or what we're doing in the world, if we don't have purpose and meaning, it makes it almost impossible to live a fulfilled life. Left versus right matters a hell of a lot less than right versus wrong, and right versus wrong is just another way of saying true versus false.
Well, please welcome my good friend who has appeared on the show before, the editor-in-chief of the Daily Wire, who is the author of several books, Ben Shapiro, who is here to talk about his latest book, The Right Side of History, which is online and in stores today. Welcome, Ben Shapiro. I always introduce you as controversial. I have to. You are controversial.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's
yeah,
the way it goes.
I don't know. It makes people think.
I hope so. That's always the idea.
Yeah. Well, you have written a new book, and I've read it. It is very well done. Congratulations on this. What motivated you to write this book?
Well, you know, during the 2016 election, I was noticing the level of anger that was just palpable in public. It was much larger than the level of anger that I'd seen in recent times in modern American history. And at the same time, the divisions on actual policy seemed actually narrower than they had been in many areas in past elections. When it came to how angry we were at each other, the levels were extremely high. I was receiving enormous numbers of death threats. I was the most targeted Jewish journalist online by the alt-right. Why are we so angry at each other? Why are we so mad? And that got me to thinking, what do we even have in common with each other anymore? And that brought me to the book.
The book is about two mysteries, you say. The first mystery, why are things so good? The second mystery is, why are we blowing it?
So the first mystery is why are things so good? So things are unbelievably good. By any standard of history, we are living in the best time in human history, in the best place in human history. You're going to live in prosperity. You're going to be able to order any product you want with the press of a button. It will arrive magically at your door inside of 3 days. It's an amazing time to live, an incredible time to live. And at the same time, suicide rates are going up. They're the highest that they've been in decades. Our dissatisfaction with our social institutions is extremely high. The level of anger, as I say, at one another is palpable. We feel like our politics are broken. We're calling for revolutionary solutions. And so the first question is, how did things get so good in the first place? And to do that, I say we need to go back to original principles. What created this civilization? And I talk about the fact that on college campuses, we don't teach these things anymore. We don't teach the classics. We don't teach about Judeo-Christian values. We don't teach about Greek reason. We don't teach the foundations of Western civilization. Instead, it seems like we have replaced the entire conversation about what made the West great with why the West sucks. And that's just not true. The West doesn't suck. The West is pretty unbelievable. And that is true by any standard. I mean, even take issues that are deeply controversial, like the issues of race. Racism in America, by any metric, is at an all-time low. And yet we are treating each other as though race issues are the most pressing issues in America. Now, racial injustice and racial intolerance and racism itself, we should be calling it out wherever we